State Farm agent Scott Zyman. You've got a car, you've got a house. Now get your car and house insured together with State Farm agent Scott Zyman. A local agent can help you customize your coverage and save you a bundle on your home and auto insurance. Contact State Farm agent Scott Zyman to bundle and save today at 815-748-3101 or stop by at 2587 Sycamore Road, Suite D, DeKalb, Illinois. Prices may vary by state. Options selected by customers. Availability, amount of discount, savings, and eligibility may vary. A junction eating place at 816 West Lincoln Highway in DeKalb, open 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. daily. The Junction is a longtime DeKalb staple, with world-famous breakfast served all day long, and the best lunch and dinner specials. Stop on by today and tell them TD sent you. And welcome into podcast number 10, TD Ryan Unleashed. Honored and privileged to have with us the coach and the star of the DeKalb basketball team, Mike and Sean Reynolds. Welcome in, guys. How you doing this morning?
Good.
Good to see you, Mike.
Doing well.
Great to have you guys here again. What a great year you've had. Of course, let's start with you, Sean. Three-time Daily Chronicle Player of the Year, multiple DuPage Valley Conference championships, multiple Chuck Dayton championships, including MVP. This past season, you averaged 16 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, and a 4-to-1 assist ratio, turnover ratio. What really stuck out to me, Sean, is you shot 43% from three-point land. Tell us about that. That's incredible. How many shots do you take?
During the offseason, I take a lot. I try to get as much makes, and we kind of calculate our makes, trying to get around 500 a day. Just a lot of repetitions, I would say, just to get that number where it's at.
I remember watching Larry Bird, and he said that just that sheer repetition, right? You just go out there and you just keep shooting and shooting.
Yeah, just try to perfect your form as much as possible.
And, Coach, do we have a basketball court in the back or on the garage, or was that important? You take him to the shed a couple times?
Well, we it was a milestone in our house when they could finally beat their mother. It wasn't really to me, so I think he beat his mother maybe during COVID in Florida. Didn't go over real well in the house, but no, we just have a hoop in the driveway, but pretty good access to a gym most nights. So if you drive by the Dayton gym, you usually see our car out there 8:30, 9 o'clock at night. So we kind of made it a tradition.
Yeah, I just started working over at Hayes Gym, and Sean came in the other day, and just watching him go through his repetition and all, and just practicing, really impressive to do. And something I know you're both really probably more proud of that is the fact that 99 wins. Sean started as a freshman, of course, at DeKalb High School. 99 wins as you guys as a varsity player. What does that mean to you, Sean?
It's probably my most. It means most than any other word I probably have. Just I always taught from my parents and coaches at a young age. You're trying to win the game. Wins. The most important. Doesn't really matter how much points you score, as long as you're affecting winning. And I felt like I've done that the past 4 years, and it kind of showed at the end. We just add all up the wins.
Yeah, and Coach, what does that mean to you? Of course, you coached your son for those 4 years.
Yeah, we certainly like one more to make it even 100. But it's to end your career, and I've said it to a couple people who've asked, but to end your career is to have the most wins in DeKalb history is a big deal to me. And I think he said it earlier that we've kind of preached that from a young age. My wife's competitive, I'm competitive. Both sets of their grandparents or my parents, my wife's parents are competitive people, and it's always about trying to win the game and putting your best foot forward. And it's been about the team. I have a saying that winning has to be enough. And if you're worried about stats and you're worried about other things, you're never going to be happy. And the one thing that can make you happy is putting your best foot forward and trying to win the game. And I think he's done that as good as anybody I've ever coached.
There's a quote from you where you're saying, bottom line is you're trying to win the game, right? That's the bottom line.
Well, that's they have a scoreboard in the gym, and winning isn't the only thing that the measure, you hate to say that in sports, but it's pretty important. It's pretty important, and we've done a pretty good job of that here recently.
And, of course, Sean, you couldn't do that without your teammates. Talk about your teammates a little bit. Let's just stay with the starters again, starting with Jackson Keys now. Jackson was what you've been probably played with him when you were a young man, right?
I started playing. I moved here in 7th grade, and I was one of the first people I met. So we've been on the court for about 6-7 years now, and our connection off the court actually helps us on the court. We work out sometimes. Sometimes I'll throw around the baseball with him because he's also going to Grand Valley State to pitch. So, he's been one of the best teammates I've ever had.
And talk about some of the other teammates, Mr. Bolden as well, Mr. O'Neill.
Yeah, Marquise. I've been playing with Davon for 3 years. I actually just met him when he recently got in high school, and just working out with him, you can tell he's going to Illinois. So, just learning stuff off Bolden and Zeke, things they do defensively as well, and Marquise, Zeke, and Davon, they all they all have a special connection, and me and Keys kind of jumped with it, and it's been good.
Now, did you talk to Davon when he was trying to decide whether to go to football or basketball? What did you tell him?
He's a little better at football, so he's a freak athlete, freak wide receiver. So, I'm an Illinois fan, so I always kind of try to get him to go to Illinois, and I was really happy when he committed. So, it's been good.
How about you, Coach? Did you talk to him about that, Davon, about possibly, and then what about playing his senior year?
Yeah, I mean, he's got a lot of options. He had a lot of options in basketball and football, and I think, after his freshman year, he played, pretty high level AAU, the same as Sean did with the Illinois Wolves on the Under Armour circuit. But I think it was pretty clear, pretty obvious to most people that football was going to be the route for him, just because, in basketball still it's weird to think, but at 6'4" and 6'5", the spots he plays, you're not that big. And you go watch NIU guys, and they have 7-footers and 6'8" guys, and so pretty much 6'5", you end up being a guard, and his best skills are around the rim and slashing and things. And I think I would have liked to seen him put the black and gold on, but for the Hawkeyes, not for Sycamore, but for the Hawkeyes. And but it was nice. I think Illinois showed him a lot of love and a lot of different things. So he's committed there, and with the NIL money that's around the world now, who knows how college athletics changes, but I think he's made the right choice for this point in his life, and we'll see where it takes him.
Very good. We're talking to Mike and Sean Reynolds from DeKalb High School, rewriting the record books over there. Now, you have a good moment. You guys did a lot of traveling, obviously, through the years with a teammate. Some incident that you can say in front of your father, something that happened on one of your road trips? Or what is it like when you guys are on the bus? Do you all keep quiet to yourself? Do you talk to each other? What do you do?
Usually, before games, it's we try to keep it as quiet as possible. Try to really focus on the task at hand. Usually call it a business trip when we go on road trips, but after a win, we're all chatting up on the bus. Usually a win a conference game, we're getting ice cream, so we're really there's no really particular moment. I try to cherish it all, especially my last year. But, just chatting up with my teammates, just knowing it's our last time this year. So. And
you took moments of this is it, so you enjoyed it.
Yeah. The win after Waubonsie, it's obviously not a road trip. We all went out to eat after, and that was a pretty special moment for our group.
Now, that was a game, because we were going to do that at the radio station. It's a long story, but you were rained out or snowed out twice, right? Yeah. Tell us about that. So the first time you guys are ready to play, what happened, Steve?
We're ready to play. We prepared, I think a couple days, and then it got rained or snowed out, whatever. And
basketball game snowed out.
Yeah.
So here we're ready to do it again, and what happened next, Coach? Then you got it canceled again, right?
Yeah, I think, it was a little weird, because, the suburban schools, they don't really cancel. And their whole district's actually canceled, over there. And I think there ended up being no snow or very little snow. So we decided we moved it to the last Friday night of the season, and it was a good culminating moment for our seniors and for our program to be able to, get back and winning the conference championship. And, that's 4 out of 6 years, for our program since we started in that league, and being the smallest school by a significant amount, and being able to continue to compete and play at a high level, and being able to do it in front of the home fans. I think we did that one other time against Nequa earlier a few years ago, but to really do it, where we're kind of the underdog, and be able to come out on top. I think we were underdog in the suburbs, but I don't think that we were kind of upset that we lost the first time to them. We thought that we didn't put our best foot forward, so it was good. I don't know if revenge is the right word, but it was nice to get that win.
That was great, and perfect in front of the home crowd like that. And obviously, neither one of you guys could have done what you've done without your assistant coaches. Talk about Chris Davenport and Mr. McElroy and the folks that. Well, first start with you, Sean. What influence have they had? Starting with Julian.
Coach Jude's been a really good influence, really since 7th grade when I got here. Just the advice he's given me. Obviously he's opened the gym for me many times just before school to just get reps with me and my teammates. But, I consider he's the head coach, but I feel like we got 3 or 4 head coaches, and they do a great job of just advice to give and things they see on the court. And really off the court, you can really text them or call them anytime if you need anything. So
I should point out, Julian was 14-1 right in the summer league, so not too bad a coaching record there.
Yeah, he's a great coach. He's definitely I read like a mentor, like a father figure to me as well.
And I noticed he'll talk to you during the game. He'll say one or two things to you during the game.
Yeah,
right?
so he's great.
Coach, how about it? Talk about Mr. Becker.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was when you have a freshman coming on the varsity, I think my original plan was to, have him come off the bench and play on the sophomore team. That was the original plan. That quickly changed in the summer, where we weren't going to play him on the sophomore team at the end of the summer. And then we had one of our guards transferred, and I was going to start somebody else. And the coaches came to me and said, I think we better start your son. And that puts a little pressure on him, and I think he did that well. But I think, a guy like Juju, he was put into a tough situation. He coached all summer long. I came in at the end. They gave the job to me, came through. He's been nothing but inspirational, motivational leader and to our guys and lead by example how to continue to push forward. I think especially at the beginning of our tenure when Sean was just here in 7th grade, he's kind of taken Sean under his wing a lot, because I think it wouldn't have been good if I had to yell at him all day, every day. I did it enough, but I thought Coach Ju did a great job of being able to not only help Sean and I's relationship on the court and off the court, but being able to be a mentor for a lot of our players, that need a little extra boost and a little extra help, and I think that's the one thing that kind of gets overlooked in basketball. You're trying to win the game, certainly, but I think our program is much like a family. I think that, from, if a guy needs a pair of shoes or a guy needs a meal, whatever they need, I think we got about the entire team stops by either Coach Juju or my room every single day. So it's just a more of a family atmosphere than most places have. We're not coaching a team. I say we're trying to coach a program and a family, and we still are getting texts and calls from guys that have graduated many years ago. Some of them are still playing college basketball, but Coach Ju's been pretty instrumental in not only Sean's development, but the development of our program.
And Coach Davenport, tell us about that.
Yeah, Coach Davenport, he used to.
He always seems angry all the time.
Nah, he's not angry. He's just trying to put a good face on there, I think, try to make people think he's tough. But, he was a girls coach for a long time, before we were here. But he's just got a long history of basketball knowledge and history of DeKalb, basketball and sports, and he's able to take a game plan and implement it, watch his film, constantly able to take a game plan and implement it. He does get a little frustrated when it's not implemented exactly like he likes, but he's we wouldn't certainly be where our program were without him, because he's put behind the scenes time after time after time in that to be real honest, most people that are getting into coaching aren't willing to do. It's an old school mentality of coaching, and you're not always trying to be liked, but in the end, you're 5 years down the road, I think he's probably got the respect, just like all of our coaches, that we held our guys to a high standard, and the standard didn't change. We want guys to not just be disciplined on the court, but we want them to be disciplined off the court, and I think we've succeeded in that area.
All right,
and we got to keep going.
You got to keep going. Very good. We're talking to Mike and Sean Reynolds about rewriting the history book at DeKalb High School. Now, Sean, 1,456 points, the most in school history, although I could ask Coach about this too. I saw a guy named Luke Recker. You know about him? Luke allegedly had 2,000 points in 1993 to 97. You know about him at all, or is it? I don't know and then, of course, Cole Hartman is right below you. He played from 2011 to 2015. He had 1,300 points. But, yeah, that was just the numbers I found there.
I think Sean's got 1,700 some.
Oh, so this is old when he first went in then. Okay, this is an old number. So you have 1,700.
Yeah, okay. 1,700 something. I don't know. I don't get into points. Luke Recker, I don't think he played here.
All right, so I don't know where that came from. But
I think the second all-time leading scorer is Jordan Treeloff.
Oh, the Tree, yes.
Played at, ISU and NIU and a little taller than Sean. Probably didn't make quite as many threes, but probably made more free throws and dunks.
He was a great kid.
I think he was maybe he would know this better than me, 1,500. They had to tell me, when he broke that record. So, Logan Streb, a guy that was our manager before, has kind of went through pretty much every scorebook available to kind of get stats and some different things. And Coach Biancalana kept meticulous stats, certainly. Huddle helps us with stats now. But, stats seemed to be lost or not taken care of as well. So he kind of went back through. We had a whole bunch of old scorebooks, kind of went through there. So,
So did you know, Sean, because it says here in the paper, with his 8th point tonight, Sean Reynolds became the all-time leading scorer in DeKalb history. Were you aware of that fact? That they didn't stop the game?
No, they didn't stop the game. It was a away game at April North, but
So you were kind of aware going in?
yeah, our athletic director and obviously Logan told me how many points I was away. So
All right. I was doing some research yesterday. I came across this one. You had 8 3-pointers and 28 points against Glenbard West. Was that your best game? What was your best game? Did you hit more than 8 3-pointers in a game?
no, I think eight's. I've hit 8 a couple times, but I had 36 points against Nico Valley this year at home. So I think that was my most points
Okay.
in the game. So yeah.
All right, great. Now, Coach, let's go back to you. Mike Reynolds, of course, recently inducted into the Hall of Fame. Congratulations, Coach. It all started back there at you had a game back there with the, Reynolds was assistant coach with the Vikings and Scott Olson from 1999 to 2003. Yep. And then you took over with Bismarck Henning, right, after that?
Yeah, Bismarck Henning, it's my wife's alma mater, actually, but we had a really good team. I was there for 5 years, but we had, I think we set the school record in wins maybe almost every year that we were there, but they're still really good. I think when we went to Danville to play this year, they played in front of us. They were undefeated at the time. It's their coach now. Their athletic director played for us, and a couple of assistants played for me, and their assistant coach was one of my assistants. The head coach, Gary Tidwell, was the freshman coach at Danville when I started as a sophomore coach a long time ago. So my first coaching job was actually at Cambridge High School,
okay,
which is now a Ridgewood co-op. They have the only restraining line in the state of Illinois around the court, so you couldn't go in there.
Is that right?
So
okay.
It was an interesting place. So I was assistant coach there. Then I was at East Moline with Coach Olson, who was my high school coach. And then he left after 1 year, or he was there more than 1 year. I was there 1 year after graduation. And he went to Danville, and I went there with him, stayed there, and then coached at Bismarck 5 years, Galesburg 11 years, 6 years here. I'm getting old.
And
It sounds like I'm getting old.
That's another great quote from you this year. We asked about your 400 wins. You said, "What this means, I'm old."
Yeah, I'm old. Yeah, I got a lot of losses too. I don't quite remember all of them, but there's a few of them there.
But sadly, your mom used to come, Carol. Tell us about that and watch you. And I'm sure she watched a lot of your basketball too. It's so sad to hear that she wasn't there to root you guys on for that one.
Yeah. She got a quick bout of cancer, lung cancer, and passed away in October. Yeah, it was a sad deal. It's just she was full of life, and she liked more than anything to kind of watch Sean play and me coach. She's only had to calm me down a few times.
Did she ever have to talk you to stay with coaching?
No, not to stay into coaching, okay. But to act right.
Okay.
I was a little wilder when I was younger. I'm still a little crazy. People say, "Well, you're a little crazy." I said, "Well, you should see me." When I was a sophomore coach at Danville, it's luckily that I wasn't, in this day and age, I've probably been fired 5 times. So yes, it was, my dad and her have lived in Florida for 20 years, and they followed everything in Orion, and I don't think they missed any of my college games at Blackhawk and Marycrest, and they've been to lots and lots and lots of games, It was weird not seeing her up there because I know she would have been there a lot. My dad made it there at the beginning of the year, and they had been to the Dayton tournament a lot. One of the last pictures we have as our family together was after we won the Dayton, not this year, but last year. And it's just a sad deal. It's weird. I don't know. Maybe until you lose a parent, you don't realize it doesn't even feel real.
No.
You talk to your dad on the phone, and you just waiting for your mom to pick up.
Right. So one constant you had in your life, your whole life, and then it's
he's actually coming up for Sean's graduation, so he'll be back in town again.
Great.
And
what was it like? It sounds like your grandmother knew her basketball. Did she give you some advice once in a while about the game itself?
She just really told me to keep shooting, but
shoot, right?
Yeah, she just kept saying she's always in the stands, a lot of the holiday tournaments, and it was just weird not seeing her up there this year.
And of course, you met your lovely wife there as well. Tell us about that. And obviously, this guy came along at that point.
Yeah, I guess we've been married 20 years now. It's been a long time. But we were both teaching in Danville at the time that we met, and I was actually just starting coaching at Bismarck. And then her dad, Earl, was the junior high principal when we were there. So It was a little odd connection.
That would make it
there,
interesting, yes.
Yeah, it was a little odd connection, but there's a lot of different stories about that. But they've Earl and Jackie, her parents have been a mainstay in our kids' lives too. They lived in Galesburg for a while when we were there, and he claims that he showed Sean how to shoot. I'm sure he probably did. He certainly didn't get that from me. But my wife, she's a math teacher at Huntley Middle School, but she was a Division I basketball player. She played at Eastern Michigan, so she's been to the combo before playing on the other side. But that's why I say it's a milestone when either Ethan or Sean can beat her in one-on-one.
Yeah.
They take that pretty big time in our house. So
I love it. It must make for some interesting family gatherings. I'm
she
sure.
doesn't appreciate it when they beat them. She doesn't appreciate it, but once in a while she'll still get out there and play with them. And I know she played in a faculty student game at Huntley earlier in the year. So I don't think she's lacing them back up. But it's been an interesting ride, certainly with a spouse that understands sports and understands athletics. I think our kids have a leg up that way. It's because it's both people kind of pushing in the right direction. They probably get sick of it sometimes for the athletics part, but I think we're all smart enough to know that athletics teaches you a lot more than winning and losing. It teaches you how to work and work as a team and put your best foot forward and be dedicated at something. I think that's getting lost in the world a little bit now. And I think athletics is the one place that it's constant that you can find it. There's no secrets to success. Sean wasn't good because he was my son. He wasn't good because his mom played Division I basketball. He was good and he excelled because he put the time in and he worked. And when you see him at Haish, I know that when I renewed his pass, he went to Haish 271 times last year. Out of 365. So that's
Awesome.
Pretty good.
That's great.
I don't know what he did the other 80 days. It must maybe Jeff Miles closed Haish or something. I don't know what those days, but I think there's no secret to success, and I think that's one thing that having sports-minded parents or sports-minded people in your life kind of teaches you that everything good in life comes after you work for it.
Yeah.
Not usually given to you. Not very many lottery ticket winners.
There's an old joke in New York where the guy driving, he pulls up to a guy and he says, "How do you get the Carnegie Hall?" And he goes, "Practice, practice, practice."
Right.
It's like, that's how you get the Carnegie Hall. Well, you mentioned Coach Al Biancalana. I'm proudly wearing the shirt
Yeah.
that Coach Al gave me when they had their run of 5 consecutive conference championships. Tell us about Coach Al and what was it like to take over for him? Because he was quite the it reminds me of Rory Massimino. Remember him from
Yeah,
that?
oh yeah.
He had a great personality.
Yeah, matter of fact, I just saw him and had a nice 30, 40-minute conversation with him about maybe a month ago, right after the season, right after, he's at St. Pat's now as an assistant coach. And he was scouting some younger St. Pat's. I guess you have to do that at Catholic school to make sure they come to your school. But he was scouting them, and my 7th grader, Ethan, and another kid from DeKalb were playing on another team that we were watching. And so I had a nice conversation with him. And certainly he's got the coaching pedigree, and he did a lot of great things at DeKalb. And we wanted to continue that and put our own stamp on it. Because I think you have to be your own person, and then you want to strive for bigger and better things. And us going into this big league when we first took over was a challenge, and I think it scared a lot of people away from the job. And I remember saying in the interview, well, at Galesburg, we were basically the smallest team in the league too, unless you count Alleman, who was a Catholic school. But we were the smallest team in the league by a long shot too. So it doesn't really scare us. We just gotta put your best foot forward and work.
There you go. It's all heart, as they say, too. Yeah, I want to mention Coach's record, 102-50 in 5 years, and then 5 conference championships. I was wondering, we talked about the Cal history and how rich it is in basketball. You guys know the story about Dave Roman in 2007? Have you ever heard that story about they were playing a team in Wisconsin and the young man's mother died, and they didn't think the kid wanted to play that day, so he showed up that night to play. And the record, you probably know the rule, Coach, that if you're not on the record book before the game, then you're not eligible to play. It's a penalty. So they gave DeKalb 2 free throws, and instead of shooting the free throws, the young man just walked to the free throw line and he just dropped the ball. And he did it twice, and ESPN did a special on it. So if you guys look up Dave Roman, ESPN, great little, how they do those little 5-minute segments. Just really neat about
Yeah, there's a nice thing in our trophy case about that. I want to say where they got the award from, and it's escaping my mind.
Yeah, okay, but you know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
Yeah. But it's a life lesson that you're talking about. Just it's a real life lesson, and that those kids became friends afterwards, and just really neat to read about that. But again, in the Hall of Fame, Coach, let me ask Sean, were you there that night that he got elected in the Hall of Fame? And how was the speech? Did Coach make a speech?
I was not there. I had AU basketball the same day, so I could not make it.
All right. How'd that go, Coach? Was that
It was good. I actually coached AAU in the morning. Drove back to pick up Chris. Went to Bloomington. Then the next morning, got up at 3:00 in the morning. Drove back to Fort Wayne to finish because I didn't really want to go, but because I guess the awards mean something at the end, maybe end of your career.
Right.
It's a pretty big honor when you see who's in the Hall of Fame and what you have to do to be in it. But I've had a lot of really, really good players. We've had a lot of good players, a lot of good assistant coaches at the 3 places I've been a head coach. You certainly, I look at it kind of as a team award, because certainly nobody can do it by themselves. Just like you can't win a basketball game with one player, you certainly can't coach with one coach. It just doesn't work. And it was a neat event. When I was growing up, one of the players that went in, 2 of the players that went in, one I coached against and one I watched a lot, AC Earl, who played at Iowa, and played at Moline, was going in as a player, and then Roger Powell. AC's a little older, but Roger Powell I coached against when I was at Danville one time.
Oh, wow. Okay.
At the Pontiac tournament. I think he had about 45 points, and our good player, Juan Gerard, had 41 or something. But Joliet beat us. Joliet beat us back then. There was no Joliet West. It was just Joliet.
Well, here's your quote that I wanted to say, and you already said it anyway. It's when asked about his 400th win, Coach Reynolds said, "I'd like to get 401 to be honest," but then he said, "I think it just means that you're old." But you went out, like you just said, and it means I had a lot of good players and good assistants. I'm lucky I've been at 3 schools that have been really, really good players and make life a lot easier.
Yeah, I think to anybody that thinks that they have the a magic bullet that they're going to win without good players, I just don't see it. It just doesn't work that way. So we can make the players better, and we can hold them accountable and do things our own way. But the players put a lot of time and effort in outside of the season and outside of the what's expected of them, and the ones that do that end up being the best players on the best teams.
Now let's talk shot clock. I know because I did a couple of games this year with the Chuck Dayton tournament, and you guys had the shot clock. Let's start with you, Sean. Do you like the shot clock, and what are your thoughts? Are you sorry that you didn't get it while you were still playing?
I want to say I'm sorry that I didn't get it on the plane. I do think the shot clock should come into place because teams can really just hold the ball, and it makes better teams, win more, definitely in the playoff time. But experience the shot clock in some of the Chuck Dayton games, a couple of shootouts we had this year. I think it makes the game more fun, even more fun to play. But yeah.
And Coach Peter Goff said that the athletic director at DH said it only went off maybe 5 or 6 times during that time. But he also made an interesting point that he thought it would be better for the game to bring in more money. I wonder what he meant by that, Coach. Just to make it a more interesting game and more people would come? Or
I don't know.
I don't expect you to interpret Peter Goff.
Yeah, I don't want to claim that I know what he's thinking, but I assume it's a more of an exciting brand of basketball.
Okay.
I don't think anybody wants to watch, Eastland and Pecatonica where somebody's holding the ball for.
Yeah, I'm old enough to remember the 4 corners offense, and that was brutal.
But I give Eastland credit. They figured out how to win the game. I think their coach took a lot of heat, but he figured out how to win the game. And like we said, it's his job to try to figure out how to win the game, and especially when the game's on. And I had some games back at Bismarck, 32-29, and we held the ball and did some different things and tried to figure out a way to win. And the shot clock brings another element of coaching involved because you got to have, different scenarios at the end of the games, end of the quarters, different ways to attack it. Plus, they changed the foul rule this year too of, 5 fouls in a quarter and then it gets reset. I think that helps the game too because, if you get 3 fouls in the first minute, it doesn't hamper you for
the rest of
15 minutes. It only hampers you for 6 or 7. So, but the shot clock's going to be it's a needed change. I wonder at times, right now it's 35. I wonder if it'll bump to 30. I think it probably will eventually. Most of the AAU events we play in are 30-second shot clocks. The Nike events actually are 24 seconds. But
oh, really? Okay.
I think probably 30 is probably the better number if you want to see pace of play picked up a little more. Like you said, only 5 or 6 times it goes off, but it does make people play with a little sense of urgency, which I think people want to watch.
Very good. Well, Sean's getting a little antsy over. I know, Sean, we're almost done, but I want to mention you about your new school, and I'm afraid to mispronounce it. So tell me how we say the name of your university.
Duville University.
Say it again.
Duville.
Okay, so and you're in Buffalo, right?
Yep.
Now they're Division II. Now, why did you think about Division III school or even Division I? And what were your thoughts?
During the recruiting process, I was kind of getting recruited by Division I, Division II, Division III schools. I was putting everything into consideration. I went to Buffalo, New York. I think early October. I went out to visit there, and it was just something that I can see myself playing for.
You really like the campus, huh?
Yeah, the campus was good. The coaches were good. The teammates, they're pretty good. And, I just kind of fell in love with it. It was just a place where I can see myself playing at and the belief they had in me.
Now, you're going into a place that doesn't have a great track record. As a matter of fact, they haven't posted a winning season since, 2001, 2002. Tell us about that, going into a program like that, and what's your mindset going in?
My mindset's just trying to change the culture. Obviously on the court, but off the court as well, and just trying to work my hardest to, obviously get that record up. And I know we're getting our two best players back, so that's good. And just trying to change the culture and just with my hard work, try to, hopefully the hard work continues with the other guys, and we can turn that really thing around.
And Coach, you talk about the winning pedigree. We hear that term all the time, but Sean has that, doesn't he? And he can possibly bring that to the school.
Yeah, I think that's something that excites them about him. That they want guys that win. They don't want to have to teach you winning characteristics or winning qualities. And I think I just heard Matt Painter talk about the transfer portal. It's the same thing with a high school guy. They're not recruiting high school players and giving them full scholarships places. It's very rare. He's one of the rare ones to get one. And Matt Painter said, when I'm looking in the portal, I'm looking for high school kids. I'm looking for guys with winning characteristics. They know how to win a game. They know how to be in a winning program. They know how to be selfless and cheer for their teammates, because it's about winning. It's not about whether they're playing or if they're playing better or somebody else is getting their minutes. It's about trying to win the game and be a winning program. And I think that's the one mindset thing that he'll bring. And I'm sure there's guys on their team that already have it. You need more of them.
Right.
You need more of them. I think Coach Stark's done a great job of building a culture. And I think, they went in a transition from Division III to Division II, which is a hard thing.
Sure.
And I think they're at that point now where they have a few guys. We watched a lot of games on live stream, and we actually watched 2 or 3 days of practice, 3 practices while we were out there. And the guys that got coming back are the ones they wanted to have coming back. You can tell. Without talking to Coach Stark,
Right.
Just tell as a coach, those are the ones you want coming back. They're the guys that put winning first, and I think Sean will do a nice job of complimenting that. I see, they're like everywhere else. Part of their roster is gone in the portal, and they're replacing guys. And I'm sure, like everybody, they're looking for winners. They're looking for guys that play with a little bit of edge. And I know they got one here. And I know the guys that got coming back, those guys who just from watching them practice are those kind of guys too. And like every coach, even the same thing we're looking at high school, we're just looking for a couple more. Just looking for a couple more. And if you can find a couple more, you're always better off tomorrow than you were today.
Well, I know the term is student athlete. So, Sean, what are we studying there? What are we going to study there?
Right now, first semester, I'm undecided, but probably going to go into something with sports management.
Okay.
In that area.
That's great. That's great. So you take your general studies first and then kind of figure it out from there?
Yeah.
And living in the dorms? What's the living situation?
Yeah, I'm going to live with one of my teammates. So.
Oh, perfect. Okay, who's that now?
It's a guard from Fairpoint, New York.
Okay.
So, he's a freshman coming in like me, high school senior right now. So.
And how far are you from Niagara Falls? My wife and I went to our honeymoon there.
15 minutes, I think.
15 minutes, okay.
15 minutes, not very far. And it's a 10-minute walk from Canada.
Yeah.
From campus. So if you go up and if you're up there and you want to go you better bring your passport. Walk right across.
And Sean wanted to hear these words. Wrapping up here, Sean, I want to ask you about NIL. Do you know what NIL is? I just learned it myself, but yeah.
The money they give you, something like that.
Name, image, and likeness. NIL, and of course now you are eligible to do that. Have you done that at all? There's a great picture of you in the Chronicle sticking your tongue out at the bottom. I don't know what they can market with that. But,
not yet.
Maybe Ollie's ice cream.
Have any thoughts? Well, I want to get you off this night here because I want to give you a deluxe car wash from Earl's Car Wash. I'm sure the old man bought you a new ride to drive up and down to Buffalo with, right?
No, I still have my car, but I don't think I'm going to take a car for the first couple of years.
All right. Well, then give that to somebody. But again, we wanted to give you something, Sean. I wish I could give you more, man. But it's been a pleasure for me to get to watch you since your freshman year, man. And that team aspect comes time again because you got a lot of individual accolades, but obviously winning those 99 games is the most important thing to you.
Yeah, it is. Thank you.
And what about Mike? Also, is there's a younger brother? Possibly these records might not last too long. Tell us about the younger brother coming along here.
Well, yeah, Ethan can play a little. You know, he's getting ready for baseball practice tonight, and they had basketball practice last night. So, yeah, he's got big shoes to fill. I think everybody leads their own, blazes their own trail. And I think I don't want to compare him to Sean. He's about 4 or 5 inches taller than Sean was at that age. Heavier than Sean was as a 7th grader, as Sean was as a freshman. So he's bigger and stronger. Better, I don't know. That remains to be seen. And everybody's better in their own right. It's gonna be real hard to break 99 wins, and that would be the most important thing for us. And letting him blaze his own trail and continue to be better. Hopefully, watching his brother and the way his brother's worked will rub off on him. Sometimes it doesn't rub off on them quite as fast as you'd like, but Ethan's going to have his own accolades and things, and I'm sure we'll be back here someday talking to him too.
And Sean, of course, you've been quoted in the paper a lot of times after the game talking to you too, but right now a lot of people in DeKalb are listening, and I know a lot of people were excited when I told them I was going to talk to you for this interview. And what would you like to say to them, the guys that have been rooting you on for all these years? Because, I mean, the fans in DeKalb are passionate, and you see that when they come to root you. What do you want to say to them right now?
Really just thank you. I couldn't win 99 games and a lot of home games without them, and our atmosphere, especially the past 2 years, has been unreal. And just playing in front of them and wearing the DeKalb really across my chest has been an honor and a blessing. So I just want to just tell them thank you, and hopefully they can keep supporting next year's team and so on until my brother gets up there. And, yeah. You'll
be making some appearances, I'm assuming, when you're off school? That'll be cool.
Yeah, you'll see me when I'm on break. I'll be right Chuck Dane Gym still. So. And
Mike, I know you know the importance of the crowds being there. And what do you want to say to the folks at DeKalb as they've supported you for the years that you've been here?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's been cool to see. I think they were obviously we had COVID, which was a weird time in the world, and coming back off it was a weird time, and I think that one thing that there's a great video in the district talking about our team and different things from actually last year's team, 2 years ago's team. But I think the one thing our team was able to do was, after COVID, bring everything together.
Yeah.
And it's a place where people wanted to be. They wanted to be there on Friday nights and Tuesday nights and goofy Saturday afternoons, and not just the kids, but adults. There's a lot of adults that I think they appreciated the way we played and the kind of kids that we had in our program, and I just thank them for coming out and supporting our players mainly. And we have a new crop of players. A lot of them are returners. We're losing some starters certainly, but we've got a lot of guys coming off the bench and some younger guys that want to blaze their own trail, and that's kind of the speech I'm going to give them here in a couple of weeks here in the summer.
Okay.
It's time to blaze your own trail. They can talk about what Sean and Keys and those guys did forever, but you want them to talk about you too. So you got to work and continue to get better and see where you can take this thing.
And Sean, one last thing, you mentioned the COVID, I forgot about that, was because, are you bitter about that as you look back? Obviously you lost some games, there was no postseason that year. How did you get through COVID?
I was in 8th grade. So
okay, so you didn't miss out with that. But just going to school with the mask and everything, how did you?
Yeah, it was crazy times for sure. Definitely was hard to find a gym at that time.
Oh, yeah?
So I was in the driveway most days and nights, but it was definitely crazy times. Definitely watching them, my 8th grade year, watching TK and them play with mask on and not having a postseason was kind of wild. And that was a great group too. So.
Okay. Now, if we want to see him play in Buffalo, you mentioned, Mike, you guys are able to watch. How can we in DeKalb watch him play up there in Buffalo?
They're like most places. We have Huddle TV, but they have their own. East Coast Conference has their own live streaming. It was free this year.
Okay.
I suppose if they can figure out how to make you pay money, they'll do that too. But it was free this year, so I think I'm sure we'll be tweeting that out and putting that out on different places for people to watch, and I assume their viewership will go up a little bit as he kind of rolls through. I know they'll have some grandparents and parents and friends and family watching a lot, and it's a 9-hour car ride, real quick flight. So we're hoping to to be able to still get out there. It'll be tough during season, but we'll hope to get out there a few times.
Well, I'm glad you got out here today. I want to thank you both so much for making this, a pleasure watching you guys through these years. And I know how much you mean to the city of DeKalb, so we thank you for your time. Wish you all the best, Sean. I know you got nothing but good things coming your way. And Mike, I know you'll continue with your success with it. I want to get one of these T-shirts, all right? So let's get working on that.
5 in a row, yeah, that's a lot.
That is a lot. But again, thank you guys so much. We want to thank also Scott Zyman, State Farm Insurance, is sponsoring us today. And I'm sure you guys had a couple meals at the Junction Eating Place in DeKalb through the years.
Yeah.
And
Oh, yeah.
want to thank the Junction as well for it. But thank you guys, Mike and Sean Reynolds, rewriting the record books at DeKalb High School. Thanks for your time here today. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
And that's podcast number 10, TD Ryan Unleashed. The Junction Eating Place at 816 West Lincoln Highway in DeKalb, open 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. daily. The Junction is a longtime DeKalb staple, with world-famous breakfast served all day long, and the best lunch and dinner specials. Stop on by today and tell them TD sent you. State Farm agent Scott Zyman. You've got a car, you've got a house. Now get your car and house insured together with State Farm agent Scott Zyman. A local agent can help you customize your coverage and save you a bundle on your home and auto insurance. Contact State Farm agent Scott Zyman to bundle and save today at 815-748-3101 or stop by at 2587 Sycamore Road, Suite D, DeKalb, Illinois. Prices may vary by state. Options selected by customers. Availability, amount of discount, savings, and eligibility may vary.